this is JC. Welcome to Missed Again, where every missed shot is a lesson. It's not about perfect play, it's about my struggles and honest progress. Today I'm going to discuss where the cue ball will go immediately after contacting an object ball. This video will not discuss where the cue ball goes after contacting the cushion. That will be explored in another video. This video will also not discuss side spin, as it is focused on the fundamental physics of the cue ball direction after making immediate contact with an object ball. Advanced beginners, like beginners, are more focused on making the object ball or watching where the object ball ends up. But there are two parts to pool: making the shot and then knowing where the cue ball will end up after the shot so that you can make the next ball. This is the knowledge and skill that advanced beginners must have in order to make the quantum jump to a more intermediate level. I know I struggled with knowing where the cue ball would end up early in my game. Just when I thought I knew, I would be surprised. While I admit I would be more focused on making the shot, I was also not knowledgeable in the basic physics of where the cue ball would go immediately after contacting an object ball. I will share how I overcame this, and I'm still working on it, and maybe it might be helpful to you if you're in a similar situation. Let's get started. Here we have a cut shot set up to make the 9 ball in the corner pocket. The principle of where the cue ball will go after contact with the object ball is the same for a wide variety of cut shot angles. Anyone who has played any reasonable amount of pool, even beginners, should know that with a cut shot like this, there's no way the cue ball will end up on the right side of the object ball. It will always end up on the left side of the object ball. The question is exactly where the cue ball will end up on the left. The first thing to know is where you will contact the object ball to pocket it. This would be the ghost ball. I think the best way to understand cue ball direction is to start with the tangent line. That is, the perpendicular line between the contact point of the cue ball and object ball. I've marked the point where the cue ball will likely travel with a piece of chalk. The principle to know is that when the cue ball hits an object ball with no forward roll or backspin, the cue ball will always travel along the tangent line. To ensure the cue ball has no forward or backspin, you have to perform a stun shot. A stun shot is essentially a stop shot when it is a cut shot. The techniques are the same. If you'd like to watch how I learnt the stop shot, watch the video in the link in the card above or in the description below. If you perform the stun shot correctly, the cue ball should travel along the tangent line after contacting the object ball. The path of the cue ball will be the same even if the shot is further, as it is still traveling along the same line, not counting variables like speed, cloth, or how level the table is. Now, let's discuss the direction that the cue ball will travel for most shots, and that is a cut shot with natural forward roll. This is when you hit the cue ball at the center or above center. When the cue ball hits an object ball with forward roll, it will travel approximately 30 degrees from the edge of the object ball. This applies to 1/4 ball to 3/4 ball hits. On very thin or full hits, this 30-degree angle does not apply as consistently. Once again, this does not take into account variables like speed, cloth, or how level the table is. One way to visually estimate the 30-degree angle is to use a piece or V sign with your fingers to guesstimate the angle. Here we are back to the same setup as before. I've moved the chalk to where I believe the cue ball should contact the rail after making contact with the object ball. You can use the P sign to guesstimate the angle line that the cue ball will travel along. By hitting the cue ball at the center, the cue ball should travel along that 30-degree angle. Once again, this is not counting variables like speed, cloth, or how level the table is. With a natural forward roll hit of the cue ball, you're not manipulating the direction of the cue ball. However, with speed control, you can determine where the cue ball should stop. This is easier said than done, but it is one of the techniques that should be mastered. Natural roll is the easiest way to determine the path of the cue ball after contact with the object ball, so it should be used as much as possible. Let's explore one way to manipulate the path of the cue ball, and that is with a draw shot, or putting backspin on the cue ball. You may need to do this because you need to get shape on the next ball and there's no path by going cushion first. In this case, you will hit the cue ball below center, as low as you can. First, it is essential to chalk up to prevent a miscue. Keep your cue as level as possible and perform a smooth stroke with good follow through. The angle that the cue ball detours depends on how much backspin you put on the cue ball. As far as I know, there's no formula to determine this, and you have to develop it over time. A practice routine I do to improve speed control for a natural roll hit is to place the template rack or a piece of paper in the path of where the cue ball will travel and try to hit it within the target. This forces me to make the shot and fine-tune my speed control. I then move the target to other areas on the table and try to make the shot again with different speed control. If I hit the cue ball correctly, the path can be accurately predicted with the natural roll. So the key is speed control. Naturally, this will get more difficult as I increase the distance across the table. For draw shots, I put the target down table to try to make it within the target. Here I got the right speed control, but did not put enough backspin on the cue ball. So I have to make some mental adjustments when I try again. The second time, I had a little too much speed and a little too much draw. So once again, I make adjustments, and on my third attempt, I just about made it. Obviously, in a game situation, I would not have 3 chances, and if I needed to get the cue ball to a specific area, but not a specific shot, I probably could rely on the shot. Well, that's it for this video. I hope this video was a useful starting point to demystify where the cue ball will travel after contact with an object ball, explained in simple terms. Do you have any other ways to determine where the cue ball will go? Let me know in the comments below. In another video, I will explore where the cue ball will go after it hits a cushion. That gets more tricky as there are many more variables and the ways the cue ball can be manipulated to change the angle after it bounces off the cushion. One of the biggest challenges in pool for advanced beginners is getting position on each subsequent ball which is needed in order to complete a run of balls. Knowing where the cue ball will go is the first step. The next step is of course the execution and actually getting there. But knowing is half the secret. If you like this type of video from me, please give it a thumbs up. And if you like the content in general, please subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell. It will really help the channel out with the YouTube algorithm. Every miss makes us better, so let's grow together. My name is JC. Try not to miss again.